Hi everybody, hope you're doing marvellously well. This week I am truly blessed to be working at one of my favorite studios in the world, here in Berlin. Yes, Hansa Studios. If you've followed the channel before, you know we've already done videos from Hansa. It's the studio that made Heroes, David Bowie, as well as Iggy Pop's Idiot and Lust for Life, Depeche Mode, U2, Achtung Baby. Just so many incredible records were made in the studio. This console, for instance, this beautiful blue, Hansa Blue SSL, I believe was put in 1978 and still is in here in situ. So it's quite wonderful to be able to do anything from here. We've been recording drums and we've got a band in tomorrow with Moses Schneider, so it's going to be superb. But why are we here today? We're here today to try out the new IK Multimedia T-RackS 6 software. So if you've been following this channel for any length of time, you'll know that I use T-RackS mastering plugins all the bleeding time. I learned quite early on that if I was going to do what I call a fake master, meaning mix, on my old SSL at Spitfire in a hybrid fashion, and then take that 2-track, I could then give it just a little bump, a little bit of EQ, a little bit of compression, even some limiting applied on T-RackS, and it really, really brought it to life. And when I was doing mix-offs, and I can tell you quite a few albums I got mixing off against very well-known mixers, T-RackS was my secret weapon. And it's not so secret because I'm telling you now. It really, really controlled the transients in the way that I wanted, added some low end, added some brightness, and got volume out of it without it sounding crushed. And so many times I would master stuff using T-RackS and then send it to people and they're like, oh, I can tell you recorded this on tape. Yeah, I know that sounds silly because there's all these expensive tape emulations out there, but it seems to brighten without sounding unbelievably brittle. And that, of course, is a telltale sign of overly digital recordings, is that sort of that brittleness that everybody seems to hate. So here is the one plugin. Now, I want to start talking about this at first because this is a favorite plugin of quite a few producers, engineers, and mixers that I respect. A billion years ago, 1997, actually, so that is 27 years ago. Geez, I feel old just saying it. I was a wee bairn, and I had made a record with my band. The band was called Star 69. You can look it up and laugh away. And we made our album with the wonderful Don Smith, who was an incredible producer and engineer, a wonderful engineer that had done the Traveling Wilburys albums, had worked with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers on some of the biggest songs like Free Falling and Last Dance with Mary Jane, and was just an all-round amazing engineer and producer. But our label wanted the mix to be done by the current great rock mixer of the time, and this was 1997, and that was Mr. Tom Lord Alge. So I was blessed to be able to go over and sit with him every day while he mixed on an SSL our album. Tom loves this plugin, and I like Tom, and I respect his abilities. So I am going to try it out for the first time here on camera with you before we get stuck into the other T-RackS plugins. So as you can see, it resizes. We've made it as big as the screen, so for all of you watching. He loves the IK1 plugin, I have heard, because it does very complex things, but just with one control. So you've got an air control, you've got a body control, you've got the focus, the push, the width, the volume, the transient control, an analog feature, and a bass punch. So with it bypassed, let's have a listen to the track. Now, the track is quite organic. There's a loop that I created from real elements of stomping and clapping. There's a kick and a snare and a tambourine. That is all of the beat. Then everything else is like mandolin. I think there's even a banjo, a slide guitar in there. So, and it's a pop song. So let's have a listen. This is with it off. take it off our bypass. It will probably be louder. We can always volume match it. But let's just see what the default sounds like. I have never heard this before. This is a first for me too. Okay, so immediately it does sound 100 times better. We can all hear that, but let's volume match it so that we're not being fooled by the volume. It's as simple as this. Put it to 0 and it's the same volume. The default on the transients is pretty awesome. I can hear compression going on in a pleasing way. I can hear it being evened out, but I'm still hearing those acoustic guitars dancing around. But I think the biggest thing for me is this bass punch. I'm going to play with it because I've gone from a bass line, which is sort of like, sort of wet, sloppy, and now it's thumping, along with the fact that the left and the right have now kind of come up and are surrounding the vocal, but the vocal is not being lost. So let's go in and out of bypass. Here it is off, and we'll put it back on. I absolutely love it. So this reminds me of the sound of T-RackS. Like I said, it's a sort of not so secret weapon, the T-RackS plugins for mastering. They really do help us out. For those of you that are in those kind of mix-offs, and I'm sure you get it all the time, you know, where somebody sends you something and they're like, yeah, you know, would you do a track and we'll see how it is? There's a couple of guys, whatever. I used to get it all the time before I had any kind of name. Now, if somebody comes to me and wants to do a mix-off, I just go, obviously, I'm not the right guy because you know what I do, and if you don't like the records I made, I get it. But when you're establishing yourself, people won't really know your work. Unfortunately, the reality is you need that music to jump out of the speakers. It needs to be somewhat mastered because you're going to be competing against people that are going to be compressing, EQing, limiting, probably even running a clipper on it, boosting 40 to 60 hertz and 10 to 12K and above, and making it all smiley-faced and exciting. While I don't advocate that you get in there and just do generic stuff, I do like these kinds of tools. And so, you know, I respect Tom. I know that he does great work because I know what he did with my record, from where it started from and where it ended up. Let's do a couple of things. Let's mess around with this focus and see what it's doing. So very interesting. It seems to be hitting the middle a little bit harder, but I think that's because there's a lot of mid-information in there. Let's do the same movement again, and let's have a listen. I'm not going to tell you what to think, but have a listen and make up your own mind. Let's go back to 0, and I'm going to cut it and boost it. So my guess is that is the mid-range. That's the mid-range control. This is not the PV world. You remember PV amps or even Orange? But you remember PV would have these kind of like I can't remember the names. I loved PV amps, by the way, the 70s and 80s amps. I think they are superb, and so do many other people. That's why the value's going through the roof. But those 70s amps, they would have like these names for like mid-range and low end. It was punch, and it wasn't even obvious like bottom. It was just like, you know, you didn't know what it was, but the focus is definitely working nicely in the mid-range. So let's bring up the air. I'm going to bring down the focus a bit and bring up the air. Pretty awesome. Now, there's a lot of movement here because I've got the mandolin-y acoustic guitar stuff going over here. Why don't I just see if we can even get it further out from the vocal by using the width control? It's interesting. I was anticipating, and I'm sure you might have been as well, that the acoustics and all that stuff were going to get really super far left and far right, which they somewhat did. But the biggest thing was the background vocals moved out from under the vocal a little bit in a pretty pleasing, tasteful way. And the other thing is, I'm going to give you a hint to go and listen. I shouldn't be guiding you. Listen for yourself. But there seems to be more ambience come in. Let's move it back to the center and see if you can hear the ambience sort of seem to get bigger on those vocals. I mean, there's perceivable volume difference now. There's not much I can do at the volumes at 0 on the setting here, but the perceivable volume difference is because all of the mids and the high end is now louder, and our ears are really sensitive to that. So it is what it is. You're going to have to sort of work around that fact. I want to do a couple of other things. I mean, the transients are pretty strong in this anyway, but let's push it and let's add body. So I'm going to start by adding the body first. I do want to push it a little harder. I didn't do the push then, but I want to push it a little bit harder because the electric guitar on the left is honestly in the mix, a dB2 quiet. So I just want to squish it a little bit harder. So see if the push does that, and see if that left-hand electric comes up. So I'm going to go to the first verse. You can keep it or throw it away. Life is little and gone in a day. If there's a reason to do it today, there's only today, and I'm not afraid. Every day, in every way, no one's taking me. So it's definitely working there. Let's leave the push up and then pull it down and have a listen. See if you think it's helping sort of balancing out the sides, because it's been a bit more aggressive on the right, but also bringing up the volume on the left as a result. Every day, in every way, no one's taking me out. And all I can say, it's gonna be okay. That there ain't no doubt. It's nice compression. I mean, it's pushing harder into it. I really, really like what it's doing. The transients seem to be really well preserved, which of course is always going to be a problem with extra compression, because unless you've got an attack and release time perfectly set, and you know, I know so many mixers that go, oh, you know, I set the attack and release time with the tempo of the song, which is a great idea in theory until you get a 16th note kick before the main kick. As soon as you get a ba-ba and the first kick has triggered the compressor, it's now no longer in time with the track. So, you know, there's a lot of sort of mumbo jumbo, you know. If you can use very fast attack and release times, of course, you know, you hopefully can, you know, have it come back and let an extra transient come through while not squashing and compressing it too heavily. But let's play with the transients a little bit. I haven't yet done that.
Every day, in every way, no one's taking me out. And all I can say, it's gonna be okay. That there ain't no doubt. I'm giving it all I got. Whoa, 'cause I'm not dead yet, giving it all.
That's a really, really useful tool. In this world where there's so many of us mixing super modern tracks, and I'm given stuff all the time that is really super squashed, really annihilated, really trying to be loud, and I'm trying to get transients back in and information. Especially if you're mastering, this is a really, really nice tool. So I actually enjoyed putting that transient far too loud and hearing all the claps, all the transients on the claps and all the strums. Really good tool. So I suppose the last two things to see here, because we know what the volume does, obviously we tried that earlier, is the bass punch and the analog, and see how they sound.
Every day, in every way, no one's taking me out. And all I can say, it's gonna be okay. That there ain't no doubt. I'm giving it all I got. Whoa, 'cause I'm not dead yet, giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet. Na 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 na. We'll keep it going, I keep it ablaze. The fire.
You might have been wondering what I was doing there. I was going between three sets of speakers. The huge Suffolk-mounted enormous things over there, I suppose essentially Augsburgers. I mean, they're huge, they're enormous. Then the KRKs, which we're mainly listening to, which sound wonderful, frankly. And then to the little mid-range boxes, otherwise known as NS10s. The great thing about this is there's not so much super sloppy low end that by adding the bass punch, it's really sculpting it nicely. The body also is kind of attaching low mids and low end together between the two. So if I mess with those two together.
Every day, in every way, no one's taking me out. And all I can say, it's gonna be okay. That there ain't no doubt. I'm giving it all I got. Whoa.
But of course, immediately with them both enacted together, it's far too much, and it's going to blow up the speakers and not be good. But I'm going to find a happy place around about here.
Every day, in every way, no one's taking me out. And all I can say, it's gonna be.
So the last thing for us to play with is, of course, the analog function. All I can assume is it's their version of what special source analog will do. There's so many interpretations for what analog is. Analog is probably transformers, so low, mids, low end, weight, you know, quote unquote, warmth. I hate that word. But anyway, weight from transformers. It is also nice smearing of transients from tape where they aren't so brittle. It is also tube saturation where tubes are adding second and third order harmonics. I mean, those are the things that we think of when we hear the word analog. So I don't know. Let's see if it does any of that.
Every day, in every way, no one's taking me out. And all I can say, it's gonna be okay. That there ain't no doubt. I'm giving it all I got. Whoa, 'cause I'm not dead yet, giving
mean, the first really, really obvious thing is when those electric guitars come in, which have got a hair of distortion on them, as soon as you crank it, it's like Distortion City. It gets really, really nuts. So it's definitely, predominantly, at least to my ears, adding those second and third order harmonics, that kind of hair that you would expect from tubes. My guess is like that's probably what it's doing the most of, or at least on this track, is what it's enhancing, because you've got the body, you've got the bass punch, you know, you've got those other things. So anyway, a long description of that, but I really wanted to try it out. I think it's really, really important. The thing about this plugin, about the one plugin, and what I support massively in what IK Multimedia are doing, is getting away from this idea, and I have always railed against this. As much as I love this beautiful, beautiful equipment, there is incredible stuff here. I feel like if you're up and coming in this industry, it is nice to know about SSLs. I love this SSL. It's nice to know about beautiful old equipment. But when it comes to your plugins, I want a plugin that does 5 different sets of compression, 5 different sets of coloring here, saturation, low end, mids, you know, some width, some transient, all of this stuff. I need it to be in something that I can afford. I don't want to buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plugins because they're emulations of things. Don't get me wrong, I do love a good 1176 plugin. IK's 1176 plugin is a favorite of mine because it's a little bit crunchy. It's like a 1176 on steroids, and it stops me, you've heard me say this before, needing to add 2 or 3 plugins. It does everything I want in one. So I'm very happy about that. However, that's 1 or 2 exceptions. Most of the time, I like modern plugins that aren't necessarily emulations. There are some emulations I like, you know that. But I feel like if I'm 14 or 15 years old and I'm starting from scratch, why do I have to go out and collect 45 different emulations of plugins? Shouldn't manufacturers be making 9 plugins that do 5 things each? Or 5 plugins that do 9 things each? You know where I'm going. It seems like in value for money, especially in this overly saturated market, where there's plugin after plugin after plugin, we all know that. Let's get some true value for money. So, to my ears, this is it. This is really, really good. Now let's get into the rest of T-RackS 6. So, I'm opening up T-RackS 6. And so what's interesting here is if I go over here, I've got show all, got mastering, mixing. Let's go to mastering because we're putting on a master bus. I've got all of these different, I suppose, presets. A new touch, tape magic. Okay, so it's got a saturator X, a quad compressor, and our friend one again. Okay, let's do a before and after. Oh wow, look at this fancy looking saturator X.
Every day, in every way, no one's taking me out. And now, like I say, it's gonna be okay. That there ain't no doubt. I'm giving it all I got. Whoa. 'Cause I'm not dead yet. I'm giving it all I got. Whoa.
I like it. It's a little bit too much drive for me, but I love doing this, just hitting a preset and see what it gives me. I did like a little bit of drive that the one was giving, which is also on the end of this chain.
Every day, in every way, no one's taking me out. And now,
So I've got tape 1, tape 2. I've got master plus 6, master plus 12, push pull class A. Let's keep it on this tape. Well, let's go to tape 1 and see what this says.
every day, in every way, no one's taking me out. And now, like I say, it's gonna be okay. That there ain't no doubt. I'm giving it all I got. Whoa. 'Cause I'm not dead yet. I'm giving it all I got. Whoa. 'Cause I'm not dead yet. Na 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 na.
Obviously, once again, we've got a lot of volume discrepancy on that, so I'm just going to bring the volume down to 0. It's still going to be louder. Of course it is, because things are getting compressed. So even if the peak value stays the same, all this other stuff that's being compressed is going to thicken up the sound. That's what happens a lot. You know, people talk about, you know, things being the same volume. Well, yeah. So you might have transients that are coming up here, and they're, I don't know, -3 dB, let's just say. The problem is like when you compress stuff a little bit more aggressively, it can be 4 dB less in transients and still sound considerably louder because of all that information that's coming up through compression. So, you know, it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. Okay, so we've got a quad compressor here, which is frequency dependent, obviously.
Every day, in every way, no one's taking me out. And all I can say, it's gonna be okay. That there ain't no doubt. I'm giving it all I got. Whoa. 'Cause I'm not dead yet, and giving it all I got.
It's actually quite, it's doing about 1 to 2 dB of gain reduction. Have a listen.
Every day, in every way, no one's taking me out. And all I can say, it's gonna be okay. That there ain't no doubt. I'm giving it all I got. Whoa. 'Cause I'm not dead yet, and giving it all I got. Oh. 'Cause
I mean, that makes it super loud and super exciting. I think I am going to reduce it a little bit. I mean, it turns this very basic mix into a lot more exciting. I don't know. I want to back it off a little bit, even though it's only reading to 1 to 2 dB worth of gain reduction.
every day, in every way, no one's taking me out. And all I can say, it's gonna be okay. That there ain't no doubt. I'm giving it all I got. Whoa. 'Cause I'm not dead yet, and giving it all I got. Oh. 'Cause I'm not dead yet.
Cool. So at the moment, it's on a link band, which is quite nice. If I take it off, I presume, yeah, I'll just grab one and then adjust that. Let's have a listen.
Every day, in every way, no one's taking me out. And all I can say,
Yeah, simple as that. So I just clicked on it, I unlinked the band, and off you went.
every day, in every way, no one's taking me.
I see. I've got gain control here. I can just grab it and do it there, or of course I can do it here. Overall. So it's bringing it all up. Anyway.
Every day, in every way, no one's taking me out. And all I can say, it's gonna be okay. That there ain't no doubt.
I like it. I think the saturator is a little strong. So let's bring that down.
Every day, in every way, no one's taking me out.
It's amazing how subtle it is that once the compressor comes in and starts getting a bit more aggressive, all of that distortion seems to be, that saturation seems to be a little stronger. Okay, now let's go to the 1. I can see that the transient is quite aggressive. It's almost like I could have started backwards and started with the last in the chain in some ways.
There ain't no doubt. I'm giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, and giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, I'm giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, and giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet. No, 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 no. Every day, in every way, no one's taking me out, no, no. And all I can say, it's gonna be okay. At least I'm here right now. I'm giving it all I got.
In an analog recording situation, because we're using a lot of really nice front end stuff. We love our microphones. As you know, we have a huge collection of microphones here We have a schnizzle ton of access to microphones. And in that world, it's nice to be able to get stuff that I can make a little bit more aggressive and a bit more competitive, quite frankly. As much as I love my analog front end, still needs to sort of jump out, doesn't it? Still needs to be just that little bit more aggressive in just a way that jumps out compared with the way that stuff is mixed now. Stuff is mixed so loud and bright. It's not that we're necessarily in the loudness war as such, you know, because I think that that's kind of gone, because the loudness war doesn't really work anymore, because Spotify will just turn it down. All the major platforms, streaming services, will just turn it down. So if you send them a big blob, it's just going to sound smaller than everybody else's. But we do need to be competitive. And people are heavily processing their music. So this gives me an edge. It gives me just enough of an edge, which is what I always loved about T-RackS itself. So I'm backing everything down a bit. I don't know if I need as much as the analog, because the saturator and the analog together are doing quite a lot.
There ain't no doubt, I'm giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, and giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, I'm giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, and giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet. No, 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 no. Every day, in every way, no one's taking me young, no, no. And all I can say, it's gonna be okay.
So I got a little bit more aggressive on that compressor there, and actually it did smooth out some of those high mids. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unlink the bands. I'm going to reduce the low end compression a bit.
There ain't no doubt, I'm giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, and giving it all I got. Oh.
The mids are getting crushed now. But let's see if we can find a happy medium between it. So that's interesting. So you see, click on it, you see the threshold, click over. I go back on there, you can see the threshold's a little bit too aggressive.
There ain't no doubt, I'm giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, and giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, I'm giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, and giving it all I got. Oh.
So you can grab the bands here, and I haven't read the manual, so thank God that it's straightforward. Grab the bands here, go into about 150, and that area is not as compressed. I've left this low mid section getting a little bit more squashed, probably come up to about 800-ish.
There ain't no doubt, I'm giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, and giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, I'm giving it all I got.
For me, that's aggressive on my mix bus. It's aggressive. I got the saturation. I got the one at the very end, adding some extra crunchiness to it. It's pretty darn good. I mean, I've been a fan of T-RackS stuff for the longest possible time. So it's not surprising I like the results. And the reason why I've liked it all the way back to 2000 when they released it, which is 24 bleeding years ago. It's insane that I'm saying that out loud. But the reason why I liked it is because it always made my stuff a little bit more competitive. And I swear to you blind, I've won a lot of mix-offs. My manager manages a lot of other big mixers, and there's been quite a few big mixers come through him over the years. And I've won mix-offs against other people by mixing it the best possible way I can in a hybrid fashion through my SSL or in the box, more lately in the box, and then having some of these tools to just get a little bit more out of it. I do love Adam Eilliott. I think he's one of the best mastering engineers in the world, and he masters a lot of our stuff. And when he masters it, he does a lot of this stuff probably a lot more subtly and a lot cleverer than I am doing here. but this allows me to be competitive. And for those of you like myself who use a lot of analog equipment and love that kind of front-end sound, love your mics, love your mic pre's, love your compressors, love all of that wonderful stuff, maybe even tape transferred in, this is a really great way to get some subtlety in there, but just bring it modern, make it a bit more up and in your face. And that's been a discussion with a lot of people, maybe not online as much, but in a one-to-one situation, get asked a lot about it. All right, we're going to hand over now to Mr. Alex Eilliott. Alex is a really good friend of ours. He's a wonderfully talented guy, and he will give you his impressions of T-RackS 6.
Hello, my name is Alex Eilliott from Who is Alex Eilliott, and today I'm here with Produce Like a Pro to showcase some of my standout products from the T-RackS 6 bundle. Now, without wasting any time, let's jump straight into this. I was first having a look at this pusher, which seems to be the equivalent of a multi-band saturation unit, which is really interesting, but let's check this one out together. Now, of course, that mid-range has jumped out, but then you can just go ahead and just play with the dry wet, back this down a little bit, and it's going to sound really, really good. Check this out. I mean, do I need to show you any more? I think that's self-explanatory. Now, I'm really interested to check out this lo-fi punch. So I'm curious to know how this will sound across a mix bus. Without further ado, let's just jump straight into this, have a play, see how it sounds. I mean, what that's doing to that kick is great. I'll be curious to know how something like this would work just across the drum bus rather than the whole mix. But for the sake of this experiment, let's continue to see what we can get out of some of these other controls. Wait, oh, what the hell is that? Now let's check out this bass one. This one I'm really excited about because I love things that you can stick across a mix bus that can just control the low end. But I'm curious to know how this one will sound. Okay, so definition, let's go for that. Ooh, okay, so it's making that kick really punchy. But then I'm also losing a little bit of low end. So I'm going to see if I can play around with this push and see if I can get a bit more of that bass to come back. Ooh, now let's give it a bit of drive. Now let's see what this sub does. This is going to be interesting. Yeah, this alone is why you would just upgrade to T-RackS 6. If you've got 5, what this sub button, listen to this. You can't see it yet, but I got goosebumps all up my arm. This is, yeah, that's the one. For me, the others are cool, but that is definitely the standout one for me.
Thanks, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that. I am a big fan of T-RackS, so I am biased. I do like what they do. I feel like IK Multimedia have been slept on for a long time when it comes to plugins, and that might not necessarily be a bad thing. You know why I think that? Because a lot of other plugin companies got a bit of a bad rep, shall we say, for doing things that, you know, people are saying they don't really do. I feel like T-RackS have been somewhat immune to that because they're just plowing along, doing what they do. So thank you, IK Multimedia, for letting us demo this. Don't forget, you can win one of 3 copies of the T-RackS 6 bundle down below. Thanks, everyone. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, adios. Goodbye. Oh, and thanks, Alex, for helping us out and doing your segment. Goodbye.